Welcome back to our town centre garden. These episodes can give the impression that my garden enjoys many days of quiet. This isn't always the case. Unfortunately, there always seems to be someone working with power tools. Neighbours have loud gatherings and dogs bark and cats fight often. Luckily it is a quiet start to the day and the wood pigeons peacefully groom on the TV aerial. A collared dove enjoys some breakfast. It is joined by a friend, but something makes them nervous. The doves are usually very jumpy birds. Now, why are you all the way up there? Ah, that's why. I had a technical issue with my microphone, so the beginning of this audio is replaced by the song thrush. I have seen the wood pigeons battle a lot. Their fighting looks very brutal. It's shocking to hear the loud thump of their wings when they hit each other. The victor rests on the fence. The enemy pigeon is out of my view, but may still be lurking nearby. He rested for a long time, so I cut the clips shorter. He suddenly becomes alert again. The rival pigeon is back. These pigeons can be so intense. They watch each other carefully, looking for an opportunity to strike. One of the pigeons suddenly takes off. The victor is still a bit cautious. I had stopped recording the pigeon, and after I heard a flurry of wings, I hit record again. The jackdaw is here. Now we know why that pigeon left. I wonder where this bird roosts. The jackdaw is keeping an eye on something. One of the battling pigeons is still here. The way that the jackdaw eats is interesting. It tilts its head back sometimes, like they do when they drink. From this angle, the pigeon looks much bigger than the jackdaw. It fills its crop for several minutes and then flies off with a mouthful of mealworms. At last, the pigeon can have a peaceful meal. Fledgling blue tits circle the twigs. They spend a lot of time in the bushes and always visit the suet bulls. Mrs. Blackbird's on a mission. Where's she off to? Grabbing a quick drink. Her feathers have a lovely satin finish. She looks like she's in great condition. You don't see wood pigeons trip over very often. It looks a little tricky to walk along that fence. Wood pigeons don't look very graceful. I think it's because they have a similar shape to a duck. Can you imagine a duck trying to balance on that fence? You're a burly bird. How are you going to take on the dove? That's the way to do it. A well-earned meal in an unpredictable day. What? No, I just sat down. Where on earth did that magpie come from? There wasn't even any warning calls. So the pigeon stayed on that fence for ages, then finally got the courage to move in on the feeder again. He glances at the sky cautiously. This is it, food at last. I'm rooting for you, little buddy. But wait, is that sparrow bothering you? Please don't peck, Master Chief. It's not a real helmet. His head just looks funny, so it's no protection from giant beaks. I think Master Chief did actually have his head pecked. He decides that the pigeon threat is not worth it and casually leaves. The pigeon has had a hard time today. It needs a drink. I spot a tiny fledgling in the leaves. It's spent a lot of time hopping around in the safety of these branches. I feel lucky to have a chance to film birds like this. Sparrows mob the new feeder. It's attracted many more of them lately. There goes the little fledgling blue-tit again. It's adorable. It almost has all its adult colours now. I think the juvenile's head looks a bit small for the rest of the body. Is this another way to spot a younger blue-tit? I wonder if this is a particular bird that I am seeing regularly. I remember in earlier episodes I recorded one of these little fledglings which has a face like a penguin. They are amazingly acrobatic and move with such ease through the foliage. Their unpredictable movements make them difficult to film smoothly. This kind of movement also makes them hard to prey on. Twice in one day, the jackdaw returns and eyes up the yummies in the bowl. How are you going to deal with the pigeon? Somebody's hoovering, and maybe this sound is making the jackdaw cautious. The wood pigeon continues to eat somewhat slowly. It's keeping an eye on that dark bird. Just as the jackdaw makes its move, Master Chief arrives with player 2. Is there going to be a boss fight? Too much pressure. No one wants to mess with the jackdaw. You may have noticed the soundtrack of this clip is dodgy. Like I said earlier, I've had some technical issues with the microphone. The jackdaw speeds up, stuffing its beak. This bird is very cautious, and I have seen many different things make it jump. I feel like it's not that comfortable about feeding here. I'm not sure if it's the neighbour noises or the position of the feeder making it wary. Maybe it's both. such a gorgeous bird. I love the way the silver blends into the black and blue wingtips and tail feathers. Today the eyes look grey-blue. Okay, that really looked like Master Chief scared it off. He is a brave little fellow. Player 2 waits for Master Chief to catch up and then they leave together. The blue tit grabs a snack while it can. A pale fledgling accompanies it. I think I have seen this pair together before. Hi Butch, I haven't seen you for a while. He arrived with these fledglings. He sometimes chases them off. Maybe these juveniles annoy him when they follow him around. Well, this is an orderly queue. They look like they're in a waiting room. The wood pigeon on the fence is observing the feeding bird and the dove very closely. Is it going to use the dove to scare the other bird? Another dove arrives. Perfect. The pigeon can use this. The doves change the rhythm of the environment and the pigeon uses their sudden departure to move in. Pigeon intimidation tactics begin. That didn't last long. The pressure is off for now. It's hard work being a bird. Three times in one day. Am I dreaming? There's not a lot left in the feeder. The jackdaw is very nervous. A familiar sound explains its concern. Magpies. The wood pigeon rests in this tree for a very long time while a goldfinch sings. The male sparrow is dismantling a tough seed. He breaks it down into crumbs, then carefully collects the separated parts. His thick bill is designed for this exact purpose. It surprises me to see how many birds sing with a full beak. I'm happy to see these sparrows doing well. They have become endangered in recent years in the UK. It's weird, they were everywhere when I was a child. I think this little female is a fledgling. They live in noisy colonies, in tight bushes, and used to be a common sound in our lives. When they fade away, we don't even notice, until someone says, "Where are all the sparrows?" The outsider returns. In its usual speedy style, it hoovers up the seeds as quickly as possible. A wood pigeon is soon intimidating the newcomer. Well, that was a new move. Never seen that before. The win goes to the outsider. The pigeon is having none of that. As the wood pigeon loomed over the newcomer for ages, I had to edit the clip down a lot. A sparrow temporarily upsets the balance. The wood pigeon moves quickly into action. This persistent wood pigeon is keeping the pressure on. A neighbour's whistling interrupts the battle. A sparrow uses the tension between the giants to snatch some quick bites. He lands in the blind spot beneath the grey pigeon, and the brown pigeon just ignores him. The wood pigeon is readying itself for a new assault. A neighbour makes them both jump. What's this? 4 times in one day. The jackdaw is ready to take them on. Easy. No one wants to mess with the jackdaw. The outsider leaves. It's not going to muscle this big bird out of the bowl. The jackdaw looks around warily. The jackdaw is keeping an eye on the fence as the wood pigeon from earlier is still sitting there. We can hear seagulls circling on the thermals above the town. They are probably heading out to the fields for a while. They live on the town centre rooftops. A mouthful of food and away it goes. The magpie has noticed the coconut in a new position. Nope, that's too tricky to eat. What's going on in the grass today? Lots of yummy mealworms. The fledgling magpies wait in the tree while Mum and Dad explore what is on offer today. They squawk a lot when their parents are near. The sound of the babies doesn't bother Master Chief and his friend. A parent magpie's call, however, stops everything in its tracks. As I film them today, I realise the magpies no longer live in the tree. They do visit regularly though. You really feel it when these birds look at you. The pigeon is too nervous to move. It waits for a while, then hops neatly to the feeder. As the adults' calls fade away, Master Chief visits once more. The outsider is too nervous to eat. It must sit on the roofs and watch the bowl to choose a perfect time to swoop in. Unfortunately, this is not the time. The baby magpies are making a fuss in the tree. This sound does seem to bother the brown pigeon. This pigeon is still sitting in the tree. The magpies are only a couple of feet away. This bird has spied something in the garden below. Now, can you spot the pigeon it passes on the way down? Don't blink. As it makes its descent, it calls frequently. It must be a cat, right? As I raise my camera on the tripod, we can see something white in the grass. I zoom in for a better view. It is a broken piece of eggshell, and it looks very fresh. I read somewhere that female birds after laying eggs will eat eggshells to replace the calcium that they are missing. I wonder where this egg came from. Did it fall from a nest, or did they find it in the trash? They're making quite a fuss. One of their babies watches the show from the tree. It has just emerged from their old nest. I like the way they greet one another. The baby's tail has grown a little bit. As their growth progresses, it will become difficult to identify the young unless they flap like a baby. The juvenile sounds just like Mum and Dad. They spend a long time at the top of the tree. I think that they find things to eat up there. There are two types of berries growing there during the year, black ones on the ivy-looking plant and the green berries of the tree. When they turn red later in the season, everyone arrives for that feast. Another baby pops up. I imagine that they are eating lots of creepy crawlies up there. This magpie is watching the area above the gardens carefully. They explore their environments, examining things carefully and testing them with their beaks. These are smart birds and can learn a variety of unusual skills if needed. They work stuff out. I wonder if life would be a bit easier if birds had tiny T-Rex arms to hold food. R2-D2 is sitting on the chimney above my room singing. I can't get him on camera right now. He's probably watching these babies too. The baby dives headfirst into the foliage. He has his tail in the air for the longest time. The magpie family looks very healthy. The neighbour's cat eyes me from the wall as usual. The magpies are gone. You can cross the garden. With the absence of the family, the little sparrow has a quiet lunch. More sparrows arrive and we hear the dunnock has returned. It's nice to see that the birds don't always fight over food. Master Chief looks wet, and the pink bald spot on the back of his neck is easy to see. This pigeon doesn't want to share. The little sparrow with its wings out is a fledgling. The sparrows have a very different rhythm in their environment to other birds. I enjoy watching them. The group that visits the garden is growing. I tried to capture their flight path. They head towards the park behind the church where I think most of them live. I don't see the doves so much these days since the competition for food got fiercer in the garden. I wish that wren would visit the feeder. I can never spot it when it sings. It's because it hardly ever sits still. Clarence the limping wood pigeon arrives. He takes a long time to move to the food bowl and I stop recording him. A brief glimpse of a goldfinch before I finish for the day. I hope to get better footage of the goldfinches as well as the wren. Mammatus clouds are becoming more common over my region. I love to time-lapse them. The thrush is hard to see as it likes sitting on my row of houses to sing. I'd have to try and record him from the ground. I'll do my best. Until next time, goodbye.